In the heart of the great continent, where the sun kisses the earth and the rivers sing ancient songs, there was a village called Amao. It was a village of laughter, of drum beats, and of community. But for one little girl named Adez, whose name means princess, the laughter had long since faded. Adez was the light of her parents' eyes. They were strong and smiling, and she was a bright-eyed girl, full of joy. But one season, a great sickness swept through Amao. It was a fever that burned like the desert sun. And despite the village healer's best efforts, it took many. Among them were a Daisy's mother and father. The village was steeped in grief. And grief can sometimes twist into fear. The elders, seeking a reason for their misfortune, whispered that Adez was cursed. They said her spirit was a magnet for bad luck, that her very presence had invited the sickness. And so they made a terrible choice. To protect themselves, they cast her out. A child of no more than 7 winters was abandoned to the wild, with only the spirits of the forest to hear her cries. For days she wandered through the thick, dark forest, her hope fading with the light. Thorns tore at her clothes. She was scared, hungry, and utterly alone. Finally, exhausted and broken, she fell at the roots of a tree that seemed as old as time itself. It was a palm tree, taller and grander than any other. As she wept into its roots, something strange happened. She felt a warmth, a gentle pulse, as if the tree itself was breathing. A soft, golden light glowed from the palm tree's trunk. A single, perfect date fruit, larger and more golden than any normal fruit, dropped and landed softly in her lap, a clean, cool trickle of water started to flow from a crevice in its bark. The old palm, for that is what it was, had watched over the land for centuries. It had seen empires rise and fall, and it had never seen a heart so pure, abandoned so cruelly. It chose to become her guardian. Years passed. The old palm cared for Adez, and she, in return, cared for the forest around it. She built a small shelter between its sturdy roots, safe and warm. She learned the forest's secrets, which plants could soothe an ache, which berries were safe to eat. But she also learned something more. The palm was teaching her. She began to hear its whispers on the wind, to feel its knowledge in her fingertips. The old palm had shared its life force with her, the very essence of growth and healing that had sustained it for 1,000 years. Adez discovered she could channel this energy. A touch from her hands could mend a broken wing, heal a deep cut, or purify poisoned water. She had become a healer. Meanwhile, a shadow fell once more upon Amao. The same fever returned. A plague that defied all their remedies. Desperate, the chief remembered the little girl they had cast out. Was this her curse, finally consuming them? A brave young hunter, who had been a boy when Adez was exiled, spoke up. "We were wrong," he said. "We must seek forgiveness, even if we must journey into the heart of the forest." A small, fearful delegation from the village, led by the chief and the young hunter, ventured into the forest. They found Daisy's shelter, but they didn't recognize the powerful, serene young woman standing before the majestic palm. The chief spoke humbly. "We seek the child who was lost. Ada easy. We come to beg her spirit for forgiveness and to lift this curse from our people. A daisy's voice was calm and strong, like the rustling of leaves. There is no curse here, only a sickness. And I am no spirit. The villagers gasped as they recognized her. Shame and awe were on their faces. And then they saw her hands, gently glowing as she laid them on the chief's fevered brow. The heat of the fever broke instantly. His eyes, once clouded with pain, cleared. Adez did not hesitate. She returned to the village that had abandoned her, not with vengeance in her heart, but with compassion. The power the old palm had given her flowed like a river, washing the sickness from her people. She had not just healed their bodies, she had begun to heal the soul of the village itself. Adez chose to stay, to bridge the world of the people and the wisdom of the forest. The old palm, her first and greatest friend, continued to watch over her, its legacy living on through her healing hands. And the people of Amawo learned a lesson that echoed through generations, that true strength is not in shunning the different, but in embracing them, for in the most forgotten of places, you may sometimes find the greatest magic.